Welcome to RC Video Reviews. It's Friday, June 16th, and we have so much to talk about tonight. We have a lot happening, including taking a look at this. We're going to talk about that. We have a lot happening, man. It's been a busy, busy week. I'm going to start by going through the list and saying hello to you guys. And if you give me an audio check, I would really appreciate that. Just let me know how the audio sounds. It looks like it's okay, but I'd like to hear from you guys if the audio sounds good. And I'll start out with Hobie, who is in first. Good job, Hobie. And the first one on the like button. I appreciate that. If you guys could smash that like button, that's really cool. That helps with placement. So do comments and sharing the video. So all that stuff helps. I appreciate it when you do that. Hobie says, no competition this week. And Freddie said, I was hinging the yak. Yeah, you heard that. Freddie's actually working on a fixed wing plane. Can you believe it? Can't believe it. He's working on a profile Twisted Hobbies 32-inch yak, and we're going to fly it as soon as he's done working on it. Anyway, Drummond Stewart says, good evening, pilots. How are you, Drummond? Glad you could see it. Glad you could make it. Henry A says, I was updating to iNav 6.1.1. Good day from Australia. Welcome from down under. Mr. Skyrider's here. Good evening from rainy Massachusetts. Yeah, we're getting out here too, man. We got a lot of rain. A lot of rain. In fact, we're going to get rain all week long. It's crazy how much rain we're going to get. So anyway, hopefully you stay dry up there. The David Knutz is here. He says, howdy, everyone from Texas, the great state of Texas. Fast Freddy, of course, is here. A little slow on the first game tonight. Hobie got it, but that's okay. Can't be first every single time, right, Fred? Hey, by the way, you guys want to hear something cool? FMS reached out to Freddie. They want to put his picture with him with his Ranger on their social media sites and their website. Isn't that cool? So check out FMS and be on the lookout for our very own Fast Freddy, who's going to be famous. They're going to put him on their website. Let's see. William Tam says, hello, everyone. Fast Freddy says, yep, I just looked. I do have it off. Okay. Freddie gets a lot of days off these days. FL Engineer says, enjoy the show. Can't seem to get enough bandwidth to stream somewhere in Western BC near Vancouver with no cell. Ooh, that's tough. Jeff is here. Another Aussie in the house. Flight Rambo Ken says hello. Philip Yang, another Aussie in the house. Boy, Aussies are representing tonight, man. EQRC says hello. Pilots. T Evans is here. Hi, T Evans. And everyone says sounds good. Ken says sounds good. Keith says sounds good. Robert's here. Canada's in the house. That's good. Stan Heaton says it's good. All right. There we go. All right, let's get into it. We're going to do a quick little week in review. Man, I've got material tonight. I've got some really cool stuff to show you. And I have some announcements on free stuff. Everyone likes free stuff, right? So make sure you pay attention because I have some really cool free stuff coming. Hang tight. We're going to get into it. So first off, we'll do the week in review, and we'll start out by talking about the possible new favorite favorite plane. And it's right there. That little Twisted Hobbies Edge, man. It's just, we're going to talk a little bit about it in the Q&A. And all I can really say is that they have just done an absolutely fantastic job with making the plane fly straight. And I've been flying it a lot and having a good time with it too. I've been having a very good time with that plane. So I've been impressed, and I'm kind of looking forward to continuing to build my skills out with that plane by flying it. And all I can say on these profile foamies, if you aspire to do more, you really need to check them out because they're kind of amazing. And the reason is because you don't care. You don't care what happens. You're willing to do anything and have a little bit of fun. So anyway, that was also the flight where Wes from Motion RC was there. I got to meet Wes, and we talked for a little bit, and he was working on a project, and I said, hey man, can you film for me real quick? Just a quickie, just to show the guys how I'm doing with the 3D stuff. And he said, sure. And he did a nice job for me. So Wes, if you're listening, man, appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Good to meet you. He's a nice guy. Make sure you check out Motion RC, of course. Motion RC is one of the top retail vendors in the hobby. So every time I've ever dealt with Motion RC, they've been timely, responsive, price is right. They do some free shipping deals. So great retailer to deal with. Make sure you check out Motion RC. All right, so next up was the FMS EDF jet. That was the Sol Rafael, which just happens to be right there, man. It's like I'm on a timing thing today. But that little Rafael, I mentioned in the review that was a decent little, kind of like a trainer jet. And I'm going to stand by that. I think it would be a decent first EDF. It's not going to be your last. You know, it wouldn't be the one that, you know, you go tearing up the skies like the Avanti, or even that X-Fly Alpha, or even the F-22. But it's a good trainer. You know, it's a very docile flying characteristic plane, and it's not so fast that, you know, a lot of times you get these jets and you realize they can move pretty quick. That can be intimidating. You know, they have a low drag profile, a good strong motor, good big batteries. So it might be a little intimidating to fly an EDF jet if you've never done it before. But I can tell you, having flown the Rafale, that I think that would make a decent starter jet if you were in the market for such a thing. I did mention, on the other hand, with the Rafale, that the battery seems to get hit kind of hard. And I checked the specs. I checked the book after I made those comments, and my battery was actually in line with what they expected. So the other option might be to make your battery just a little bit smaller and maybe a higher C rating. So I was using a 2650 with a 30 C rating. Maybe a 2200 with a little bit of a higher C rating might help. Maybe. It might be worth experimenting. But you do get 3 minutes of flight, but I'll tell you, on the second half of the flight, it kind of calms down a little bit. You don't have that high energy stuff you need to do the big air type maneuvers. So that, but other than that, I mean, the plane's fine. It flies well, easy to see, easy to land. Not a problem flying that plane. So decent little airplane, and I'm glad I got my hands on it. And then, of course, the laser. Boy, that laser was a big, oh my gosh. Oh, we've been on Discord. Oh, we'll talk about it in a little more detail. But I've been getting a lot of help on my own Discord, which is amazing. It's been very helpful tool for me to kind of elevate my game when it comes to learning how to use the laser. And I've been having a great time. I've just kind of gone nuts experimenting with it and trying to figure out how it works and the operations parameters. We're going to talk about that tonight. I have some things to show you on that for sure. So hang tight. I'm going to show you a little bit about the laser. And again, I want to say thanks to Aetzer for sending that one out, because I never saw that one coming. And I'm certainly not an experienced laser engraver or cutter guy. So I was kind of thrilled when they asked me to review the laser. I thought that was really nice of them. And in return, they haven't asked for anything additional, but I do plan on putting some more videos on the laser on the channel, just because I think it was really nice of them to offer me such a nice review item, and it paid off because it works, and that's all I can say. So as a result, we're going to talk a little bit about some things, and as I get some more experience, we'll talk about, you know, my successes using the laser and things I come up with in the hobby. So that'll be coming on the channel. Keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, the big Mac Daddy of the week was the RadioMaster video with the Express LRS receivers. And you guys have no idea, man. You know, they engage the reviewers. They have to ship things out ahead of time. They engage developers. They ship stuff out ahead of time. And they ask us under, you know, it's not necessarily like an NDA, but, you know, if you want to be in the club, you have to keep your mouth shut and manage to their timelines, which is fair. It's a completely fair thing to do. You know, they'll launch when they want to go launch. They go public when they choose to go public. So I've had those receivers for a couple of weeks, and I just wanted to tell you guys, oh man, check out these receivers. I wanted to tell you, save your money, get some money saved up, go buy some of these receivers. But so far, they've been good. I have been using that Twisted Hobbies Edge 540. That's had the little RadioMaster in there for a couple weeks now. I've been flying the heck out of it, and it's been great. So all I can say is my initial experience with them has been positive. We are still waiting for the firmware to come around. You know, they're on 3.3 release candidate 1, and we need that to be the final candidate. So, you know, 3.3 final, and that will include all the RadioMaster stuff. So hang tight. That's all on the way. And all I can say is, good job, RadioMaster. I think they listened and they heard what people needed and wanted, and we'll get into it in the Q&A a little bit. But I can tell you, based on the comments I saw, that I think RadioMaster made some new friends with the release of these new Express LRS receivers. That was really exciting. Oh, and one other quick thing, just so you guys understand, on the PilotJam, normally after I do a live stream, I leave the PilotJam up and people find it. Because the RadioMaster video is still pulling some traffic, I will probably delist the PilotJam. And if you're here, you don't care because you already know where it is. But tomorrow I will probably delist it, or tonight I'll delist it, and it'll probably stay delisted for about 24 hours. Just throwing that out there because it's the way YouTube works. You know, YouTube, they have a video, they prioritize it, they put it on the reach page, and as soon as you do another video, then they start prioritizing that one. So I want to make sure that the RadioMaster video keeps pulling in the traffic. And for that reason, I'll be delisting, but not deleting tonight's PilotJam for at least a day, probably a day. So that's that. And then, of course, the PilotJam. So here we are. So that's the week in review. It's been an exciting week, and there's been as much activity offline as there has been online. So I'm going to go back to the comments, and we'll see what everyone's saying. Everyone, okay, sounds good. It looks like the sound audio quality is there. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate that. Fast Freddy says, I thought I was already famous. Well, you're getting there, Fred. You're getting there. You're more famous than I am. And free stuff, man. Who doesn't love free stuff? And by the way, FYI, Robert won a radio-controlled truck from FMS for filling out a survey. Hopefully he got that. Did you get it, Robert? I'd like to hear. But anyway, just be aware that survey that I've mentioned in a couple of videos, they're actually doing stuff, and one of our guys won. So I think that's kind of cool. All right, let's see. Wes is the best. That must have been great meeting Wes. Yeah, it was good. He's a nice guy. He was fun. You know, he's a good pilot. I watched him fly for a little while, and he was interested in what I was doing with the 3D stuff. So it was, it was good. Okay, let's see. I'm going to check. I'm looking for comments. Robert says, pull the EDF out of the Rafale and make it a pusher and fly forever. Yeah, I know some people do that, right? That's not a bad idea. Hobie says, remember to smash that like button on the way in. Yeah, that's a good one. And I'll remind you guys, don't forget, warm welcome to my patrons. I want to say thanks to my patrons for joining tonight. And while we're on the subject, we are heading toward 30,000 subscribers. So I would like to say to all you awesome subscribers to the channel, thanks for joining me. And for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the bell and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and I'm welcome you to the channel. So hopefully you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when new material hits the channel. Let's see. Patrick says, what is a great EDF for an EDF newbie? I can handle 3D foamy or sport, playing decent enough, looking for something a little faster. If you want something faster, I would check out like the 4S stuff. A standard 4S 9-blade, maybe not. You might be looking for something like a 6S or one of the I wouldn't be afraid of looking at one of the high performance options out there. You'll see them in the description. I can tell you that X-Fly Alpha has been pretty good, and the Rafale's good. And the only real issue, and I've mentioned it in the video that I had with it, is the battery life is only about 3.5 minutes. And that's not, they say that on their website. So it's the truth. It just is what it is. So you get about 3.5 minutes of flight time, and about halfway through the flight, you start losing a lot of punch. But again, that could have been my battery. So I think but in terms of the flight characteristics, it's very nice because it's a great big delta wing. So it flies like a delta wing, and boy, can it do a high alpha. So it's all cool. I think the Rafale airframe is fine. It's just a question of power. All right, let's see. The Rafale and the Habu, says Robert. Yeah, I haven't flown the Habu, but I've heard good things about it. Hobie says, also help John out by becoming a Patreon as little as $3 a month. Yeah, if you guys, join patreon.com/RC video reviews. I do have a $3 a month tier. So if you want to help out, I do shovel the money that I make back into the channel every month. So that's what I do with it. All right. Ken says AS3. Oh yeah, Ken, you're jumping ahead, buddy. Hang tight. We're going to get into that. That's a secret, Ken. We're going to talk about that. That's on the agenda. Robert says on the 22, the F-22. Oh, the F-22. Oh yeah, that'd be a good idea, Robert. I bet that would go because that F-22 is definitely slick. EQRC says Arrows F-86 can hand toss and later, after getting used to it, start landing and taking off. If you've flown a Trojan, you're ready. There you go. One Armor RC says hello. P51 Dan says Viper 70 or Viper 90. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the bigger jets. The 70s, 80s, 90s, nothing wrong with those because they're easy to see. So just throwing that out there, it might be a little easier to stuff a gyro in those too, right? Okay, I think that's it for the chit chat and the week in review. We can get going now. I've got material for you guys. Let's get into the material. RadioMaster Express LRS. Okay, we have to have a quick little talk about these. I'm going to go to the big camera so you guys can see. Maybe I'll go to the big camera. Maybe my Stream Deck thing isn't working right. Figures. It was working earlier. Yeah, it's having a problem. Hold on. Let me see if I can reset this ridiculous thing. Just 1 second here. Just a second. Okay. Apparently I can't use my Stream Deck tonight, so I'll have to try something else here. 1 second, guys. Sorry. Technical issues. Where's the elevator music? All right, let's see here. Let's see. I just had to turn it on and off again. Let's see if I can get a connection now. Maybe. Maybe not. There it is. Okay. There we go. Overhead camera. That's what I was looking for. All right. So the thing that I wanted to show you on this is during the video, I talked a little bit. This is the 8GV. So this is the one with the Vario, and it is the 8-channel version. And I mentioned that it has a UART, and the UART goes into the side. Now, you guys might notice a couple of differences between the review video and what I'm showing you now. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because when it was pointed out to me that the UART connection lived inside the side casing, you have this heat shrink that it comes with heat shrink out of the box. So if you want to access the UART, you're going to have to do something about the heat shrink. So I cut a nice little square out with my razor knife, and I tried putting the UART connector in the little adapter down there, and I actually got it plugged in. But here's the problem. When the cardboard is on there and you put a plug in there, you can't see what's going on. You have no idea what's going on. So you have to kind of fiddle around in the dark to try and find the alignment for that plug to make it into the connector they put on the board. And then when I did that, I moved it around, and it felt like I wasn't seated. I thought, wait a minute, do I have it in there all the way? So I pulled it back out and did it again, still wiggle. And I was like, wait, this is not cool. So I decided, well, I'm just gonna, what I thought I would do is just give the cardboard a little cut along the edge and just take it off, check everything out, make sure it was plugged in the right way, you know, do all the work, and then just put the cardboard back on and heat shrink it. That's what I thought I would do. Well, the cardboard was glued on the bottom. So in the process of trying to remove it, I wound up ripping it. And so at the end of the day, I got a little aggravated with it. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to toss the cardboard. So I took the cardboard off. Now, the downside about doing that is the cardboard has all the labels, but the board does as well. So you can see right there, you've got channel 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that. And at the end, I wound up obviously going without the cardboard. I did solder my VBAT pad, my VBAT line on the external V right there. That's the VBAT pad. And I used the UART. Now, here's what I didn't know in the initial video, because I hadn't done any testing with this particular receiver yet. And that's that during the review material we got said, this little UART is for future use. It's for sensors and future use. Well, it turns out Captain Bry, who's he's like the lead developer on Express LRS, he said, oh yeah, it also puts out crossfire. And I thought, wait a minute, hold on a second. So this guy outputs not crossfire, CRSF. It outputs CRSF. So when I realized that, I decided, okay, I've got to put the CRSF lead on there, and I am outputting CRSF now, and it is validated to work. This does put out CRSF. The one thing I'll point out, if you look at the diagram, the white is over here on the left-hand side. That's the TX, okay? The RX is number 3. So if you count from the right, you got black, that's negative, red is hot. Then you have the RX and then the TX line. So when you connect this, you do 1, 2, and 4. Those are your pins out, and they will go to a 3-pin connector or whatever. You know, if you're soldering to a controller board, that's fine too. Whatever you're using, it's fine. In my case, I'm going to be going into a gyro, so I use a standard 3-pin, and that's why I soldered this little lead on. And then the other thing that I did, you might notice, is I took a cable tie and I provided a little bit of strain relief for my VBAT. So I just took the strain right here. I took the strain off of the VBAT lead and just kind of cinched down that zip tie onto my main lead coming off. So that is the production version of the 8GV that's going to be going in the next plane that's coming up, which is a 48-inch Extreme Flight MXS. All right. But I wanted to kind of walk you guys through that because during the video, I was unaware of where that plug was. I couldn't see it. My lighting wasn't good enough. I just didn't see it. So I thought you just had to take the cardboard off to spot it. But it turns out there is a little hole there. You can cut it out with a razor. You can stick the little connector in there, and it will work. That said, I prefer this method much more. I just took the wrapper off, used my own I used the heat shrink that came with it. And also the other thing I like about that is it makes sure that you get your heat shrink down over these little UFL connectors to make sure these stay on while you're messing around in your model. All right, so that's the Vario 8-channel. This is the 8GV, and I will be using this in my crash setup, my crash-proof setup for the 48-inch MXS. And I also will be putting the 4-channel back in the Tower or Twisted Hobbies Edge, and I'll be looking for opportunities to use the 6-channel and or 8-channel in an upcoming plane, which I'll be able to show you a little bit of tonight. So it's all good, man. It's all good stuff. I've been very, very happy that they have produced this range of receivers that accommodate various fixed wing configurations that are important to us. So with that said, I'm going to go back to the questions and we'll see what's going on. Let's see. 7. Okay, I'm looking. I'm trying to get caught up. One job. Hey, at least I have my pencil tonight, Robert. I brought my pencil. I brought my pointer, right? Head Fog's here. How you doing, Head Fog? Glad you can make it. Okay, so that's it on the RadioMaster receivers, and we will assuredly be talking more about those as time goes on. Oh, you know, there is one thing I want to mention about the RadioMaster receivers. In the comments, and that video got a lot of comments, one of the guys came in and he said, hey, can you decase that receiver? Because that's a little too thick. And my answer is, of course you can. Because if you put the circuit board in a plastic case, you can take it out of a plastic case. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those use case questions on what matters the most for you. So I just wanted to point out that another use case concern that I saw was about pricing. You know, so I saw a comment that said, wait a minute, you know, that's like $10 more than some of the other ones that you can get already. And my answer to that is, if you're talking about, say, a Maytag EPW6, which I love Maytag EPW6s. They're very good, but you have to solder your own header pins on those. And I know for a fact, having talked with so many people and guys on the channel on Discord, that in certain cases, some people have a hard time soldering things that small. So there is a cost benefit thing that you have to give them. You have to grant them the grace on that says, if they're going to do the work of soldering the pins on and making sure that it works before you get it, there is some value to that, right? Because there is a little bit of labor involved in doing it yourself. Normally what I do when I'm making those up is I just do a stack at a time. But I can tell you already 100% fact that I have ruined an EPW6 because while I was soldering one time, my soldering iron slipped off the pad and bumped a little diode and knocked it off its pads, and I was unable to use a signal pin for that channel. So you know, the point of the matter is simple. You got to give grace when grace is due, right? They did some extra labor. They wrapped it up in a wrapper and it is ready to go out of the box. You can take the receiver out of the box and go fly. You don't have to do anything else. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you say, well, wait, they're charging a little bit extra, but there's a reason. Now, if you don't mind soldering, then, you know, maybe there's no value prop for you. And in that case, the EPW6 might be a better solution for your use case. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that because I did see some commentary along that line in the conversation. I wanted to make sure I maybe address that just a little bit. Okay, let's see. What is next? We're going to move on. I'm going to move on to the next subject. Oh, the laser learnings. Man, I have so many fun things to show you guys, but I'm going to check comments before I get into that. Let's see. I had to dig out an RX unbound to a Maytag to chest. All right. Patrick Henry, thanks guys. Your advice is greatly appreciated. Well, glad to help, Patrick. And Hobie hit the tip jar. Thanks, Hobie, man. Appreciate you for hitting the tip jar. Very nice of you, my friend. Very nice. Okay, let's get back into the material. So we're going to do the laser learnings. I can't wait to show you this. I'm going to go back to the overhead camera and I'm going to start with this one. And here's the deal, you know, like nothing that I made here is earth shattering. You know, I've said so many times already, I'm kind of a monkey with the football, right? I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm doing a little experimentation just to try and find my way around with this laser and try and understand what can be done, you know? So the first thing I wanted to show you was this little hanger that I made. And all I did, see, there's my first mistake, by the way. I put some transfer tape on the back and tried to engrave with the laser, and it diffused the laser. So it resulted in that. So that was a screw up. That's learning right there. That's learning what not to do. But then on this side, I'm like, okay, can't do that. So the next thing I did is I just did this gone flying, and also notice that is that's not engraved. That's not burned. That's actually plastidip. The black letters are plastidip. Now, another thing I'll point out, in case you know anything about lasers, I was running a little hot because you can see these little brown lines in there, right? Those little brown lines, that means I was going a little too hot. So, you know, you have to adjust your speed and your temperature to get it right. And then you can see I've got my little airplane, and I also use the laser to cut a couple holes in the top, and I just put a little rope in there and I hang that on the door in my office, and it says gone flying. So just kind of a cool little thing. It's just a tinker, right? It's just a tinker and learn. And I did learn some lessons, right? I learned some things to do and not do. And, you know, that'll help me make, if I want to do, you know, a little bit of signage or, you know, little knickknacks. I thought that was kind of cool. Just a little science experiment, like, you know, wood burning shop kind of deal. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know we got some wood burning guys in here. All right, I've got more to show you. This one is kind of cool. This was my first go at working on engraving. And I was trying to figure out lettering and how you might color letters. And you notice my J fell off there. So here's what I learned about this one. If you take your heat shrink, this is heat shrink. The red is heat shrink. So if you take your heat shrink and take the adhesive off and you lay it down on your workpiece and then tape it down on the ends, you know, just put a little piece of tape it down, and then you etch your name or whatever you want. You can etch, you know, RC video reviews, your name, your kid's birthday, you know, your favorite lottery number, whatever. But when you do that, the heat actually singes the letter or the heat shrink down on the outline, which is really cool. So after you're done, you peel the negative off. And when you peel the negative off, you can hit this with an iron to lock it down. I did not hit this with an iron. This is just from the laser only. That's probably why my J fell off. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool because you can do lettering in color, and it worked like a champ. And you can tell on this engraving, this one is a lot better than the plane. See how the plane has all the brown burnt edges and this one doesn't? So that temperature was correct for this material. That's how it's supposed to look. So very cool stuff. And again, I'm just experimenting, right? One other thing I wanted to tell you guys about this one, if you want to paint, this is a really cool lesson that I learned on a video that I watched about using engravers. So the way I did this is first I put down blue painter's tape, and then I used the laser to carve gone flying, you know, just to etch it in. And then I took a razor knife and I peeled off the inner part. Robert probably knows all about this. I peeled the inner part off and took the letters out. Just the letters. So GONEFLYIN and the apostrophe. I took those out. And then after that, I covered the rest of it with painter's tape so I wouldn't get any plastidip on. And then I just sprayed it with plastidip because all that was exposed was the letters. The letters were exposed. That was it. So then I took I think they called the weed or the negative. I took that off and I was left with just gone flying. So yeah, really simple. I mean, I'm a monkey with a football. I have no idea. Like I have no idea how to do this stuff. I was just experimenting. And I thought, you know, I did see a video on using a negative. So I thought I'm going to try that. And I did it with blue painter's tape. It was so cool, man. Really neat stuff. So these are two. Here's another one that I was just messing around, right? I took a picture. This is the 67-inch laser. And again, I have to work on my settings, right? I'm still learning. I'm going to show you something about settings in a minute, but I have to show you something about settings. But all this is a picture of my 67-inch laser. And obviously it's not centered right. So, you know, slow your roll. Don't give me a hard way to go about it. It was supposed to, it looked a little different in the picture. That's all I'll say. If I did this again, I'd move the plane over just a little bit and center it a little better. But I also did my monocoat trick on this one with blue monocoat. And I'd rather be flying. Now imagine, you know, maybe taking some stain or varnish or, you know, polyurethane or something and staining that. And then on top of that, I made these little holders right in Lightburn. I just made a little rectangle, dropped another rectangle in, combined them, made a little holder. And then they go on there like that and just a little dab of hot glue. And I have this cool little thing I can just set it on a shelf or, you know, on top of a lamp or something. And I'd rather be flying. So again, there's no necessarily practical benefit to any of this other than learning how to use the tool, right? So that's that one. And this was me trying to put a couple of parts together, thinking, well, what happens? How do you get parts to work together? And it was actually quite simple. So what's really neat is you can make the entire assembly in one go on the laser. I just think it's really cool. I had a lot of fun with that one. Very, very cool. Okay, here's another one. Now we're starting to get into something practical. If you guys have never seen these before, Dave actually came up with this design. And what it is it's a tie down strip. So we take a piece of 3/4 inch double-sided Velcro, and all I did, so easy in Lightburn, all I did was make a circle, drop a couple of rectangles in it, one here and one there, spread them out to give the wood plenty of meat to hold on. And then after that, you simply take your Velcro and drop it in here. And there you go. Now you have a tie down strap. Now what you do is you go to your field. And if my hand is the table at your field, you go to the field and you take your little disc and you drop it through the slots on the table like that. And you pull up. Now, when you pull up, you can take these two straps and wrap them around your landing gear on your plane snugly. You don't have to be real tight, but you just wrap them around your landing gear. And now your landing gear are basically affixed to the table, so the wind won't blow your plane off the table. And I printed. See, I'm so used to saying 3D printed. I cut this. It took like 10 seconds to cut this. So I can cut a stack of these things in a minute and keep them in my box and give them away at the field. Just tell people buy a little Velcro and you get yourself a tie down strap. All right. Really cool stuff, man. That's a practical one. We use these all the time at the field. I use this almost every day. Dave uses his every day. I use mine almost every day. So I thought that is a really cool practical use. And I will also say that I think working with the laser is easier than working with a 3D printer. It is easier. 3D printers are a little bit harder. I got this up and running and I get perfect cuts right away. Now I'm still learning about temps and speeds and all that stuff, but that's why you see a little black here, you know, that's why. But I have a plan. I'm going to show you my plan. So I thought you guys might like that one. I think that's kind of cool. That's a practical one you can use at the field with the laser cutter. This is the kind of stuff I plan on showing in my production video for Acer when I do another one. But I have more. There's more. There's a lot more. I can't wait to show you guys this stuff, man. I'm having so much fun with this thing. Okay. Here's a look at a practice piece. You know, this is where I started cutting the initial discs out, and it's where I cut this little guy out and where I started practicing with my name. So just a little piece of plywood. I actually had this. This is not even plywood. This is like MDF or something, but it's a veneer. That's a veneer. And this is a piece of wood. It's a hardwood veneer. I think it's oak maybe on a laminate composite posture. Yeah, composite. So anyway, I just had this in my lumber stack in my garage, and this is what the first piece that I started working on. So, and also here, you might notice this little corner. When you put your designs in Lightburn, you have the option to radius. So I had, let's see, nope, this one's radiused. You see how that corner is radiused like that? This one's called a negative radius. So you can negative radius as well. I made a mistake on that. Obviously I didn't want a negative radius. I wanted a positive radius. So I had to go back into Lightburn and change my settings to make a positive radius. So that's what that is. But yeah, so this is just a scrap piece, but this is where I was kind of practicing. And I also learned some techniques with transfer tape so that I can cut my name out and put it on shrink covered models too. So that's what this is about. That's why the name is backwards. That was on purpose. And the idea was I used a piece of transfer tape to put my name in and then move it over to another piece. And I realized I did it backwards. So I flipped it, I reversed it. So this was actually cut upside down. And then I used transfer tape to put it on this board and I put it right on there and it works. So that's another really cool use case. If you have heat shrink covered planes, you can cut out your graphics. It was so easy to do this, just ridiculous. You cut out whatever graphics you want, use a little bit of transfer material and put them right on your plane. You can cut, and Little Ski has been doing end numbers. He does his accentuating graphics. He's right now, he's working on an entire covering for a decathlon that he designed and built. So with that in mind, I don't want to forget, I got to give a big shout out to Little Ski and say, thanks, man, for all your help. Little Ski has been in the Discord. I mentioned to you guys earlier, I've been getting some help in Discord. Little Ski's been my muse, man. He's been helping me out and he's really expedited my learning. So, you know, instead of getting on Google and watching, 500 YouTube videos that don't really answer the question I have, which I'm sure you guys are all, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. Oh, come on. Really? It's not going to work? I got to try it again. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. There you go. Okay. So, anyway, Little Ski, he's been a big help trying to, help me get learn how to use the tool and answer questions. So big shout out to Lilski for that. Okay, here's another one. This one is a little bit different. I know I'm printing the same stuff, but it's familiar to me, and it's, like the first thing that comes to mind. But the thing I wanted to point out on this one that's different from the others is this is a piece of, I just think it's pine. It's just a piece of pine, it's like a 2x1, 1x2. And on this one, I don't know if you can see it looking at it from the side. I'll put my pointer in there, but this one, see, has some depth. So if you set your temperature or passes up hot enough, you can actually run it in a little bit and give yourself some dimension using the scanner. And that's what I was practicing with on this one, is giving it more of a 3D look. And I was able to do that over here as well. So you can do a little bit more of a dimensional look by turning the heat up. So I thought that was kind of cool. Again, just kind of experimenting. Now, I'm going to give you guys a couple of more ideas. Then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about tuning, because it's a big lesson I learned last night. This one, if you guys have never seen, you probably have seen this before, but it turns out this stuff is called Garolite. It's G10. And I went on the hunt for this, and it looks like Hobie actually confirmed it. Hobie confirmed it in Discord, but this stuff is called Garolite. And the reason I wanted this is because this is the kind of material that they use when you get control horns for your surfaces on your plane. And you can also cut extended servo horns as well. So if you have a servo horn that needs to be longer, you can actually cut them out of this material. It's called Garolite. So I got a sheet of this because this is something that I can use to cut my own horns instead of working on, using a 3D print, for example. So, and the reason I say that, not that I have anything against 3D printing, but this stuff is really strong and you can cut it like almost instantaneously. I can cut in fact, we did cut, Dave brought some fiberglass over yesterday and we cut some of his fiberglass and the control horns were perfect. They were just perfect. So, and it was done in just, once we got the design figured out, I can cut the horns in just a matter of seconds. So Garolite, Garolite, you can get it on Amazon. Here's another thing that I came up with that I thought was kind of cool and I'd share with you guys. This I got at Hobby Lobby, or I think it was Joann Fabrics. I was at Joann's with my wife, or it was Hobby Lobby, I don't remember. But anyway, this is foam, and it's a 12 by 8 by 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters thick. This will also cut on the laser, and you might say, well, John, why do you have that? Think about your canopy. You ever have a canopy on a plane that doesn't have a deck? All you got to do is take that canopy, put it down on your foam, trace it, reduce it a little bit, not your foam, a piece of paper. Trace it and reduce it just a little bit, and then you can import it into Lightburn, and then you can cut it on the laser right here. And then all you have to do is take a couple of pieces of popsicle sticks or balsa or whatever, glue it on the bottom, and now you've got yourself a canopy deck for your airplane that can be cut to mimic your canopy exactly. So just another thought. I was walking through the store. I'm like, oh, wait, that might be cool for putting a canopy floor in or a deck in a plane if you want to. And you can also use this for things like, they use this in motor cowls for baffling. So you can do that as well. You can do it for a motor cowl for baffling if you want to do that up front. So just another use case. These are all, I mean, I'm going crazy with ideas, trying to think of different ways to use this laser for the hobby. And I know I'm going to come up with all kinds of stuff. Spin Launch Glide says, which cutter? It's an Acer it's an Acer L2 36 watt. And I just got it and I just did the video on it. So, okay, now I want to tell you guys a little bit about tuning. I got a funny story though first. You know, I walked, speaking of my wife at Joann, she went and got some yarn. She's going to make me an Afghan, right? She's making me an Afghan. And I walked out and she said, oh, I'm so upset. I have to strip this whole thing that I did. I got to strip it down. And the reason I have to strip it down is because I was trying to crochet and it wasn't, the knots weren't, going in at the right size. And I said, you had the wrong hook size, didn't you? And she explained it a little more. She woman-splained it to me a little more. And then she said, yeah, it's the wrong hook size. I said, see, that's how my mind is, like a supercomputer. I came up with that answer in like 3 microseconds. And she goes, supercomputer, it's more like a mouse with a 3-function calculator on a hamster wheel. It's like, damn, are you kidding me? Holy cow. Am I doing too many rim shots? I just had to tell you because I thought that was funny. That was a little married humor. All right. So here's the next part I wanted to show you. This is the thing. Now, before I get into this, I'm going to tell you guys something that I learned. Have you ever had one of those situations where the brain sees what the brain wants to see and registers what the brain wants to register? Okay. So when I got this laser, I'm looking at the specs and I thought, okay, I read the book and the book says it has a speed of 5,400 millimeters per minute. I thought, okay, that seems about right. And then, when I did my initial tests, I divided by 60 because light burn is in seconds. So I decided I would pull it down to 90 millimeters per second. So you take 5,400 divide by 60, it's 90. So 90 millimeters per second, that seemed reasonable. Again, I'm coming from 3D printing, right? 90 millimeters per second sounds really good. So I did all this testing, right? I did this thing. I did this at that speed. I was kind of trying different speeds. I did this at those speeds. I even did this at those speeds. Notice the brown on the outside. Well, anyway, last night I started asking Little Ski in the cutters forum in the laser cutter channel on Discord. I said, what is going on? Yeah, Hobie says like a print tower. That's right. I said, what's the deal with speed? Tell me how you govern. Do you adjust temperature or speed or what? And he said, normally I run it as fast as I can and run it only as hot as I need to do the job, right? And hopefully you can do it one pass, but if you have to do it in two, you have to do it in two. So these are all little variables that control how you manipulate the laser. And it turns out I found in Lightburn, they have what's called a material test. And in the material test, you can set different parameters. So on this one, you can see that you've got, well, first off, I want to tell you about the speed before I get off track. Look at the speed. The speed isn't 5,400. It's 54,000. 54,000. 54,000 millimeters per minute. I was like, what? And I verified it's true. So then what I did is I made the material test with 500 as my low speed and 54,000 as my top speed with power levels from 10% to 100%. And you just run this pattern and the pattern shows you what the laser needs to see. And so here's the deal. When I'm cutting, I can probably run, if I want to, from a speed perspective, if you look at this cutting right here, and this is 2 passes, right? So at 540 for this particular material, I can cut anywhere from 30% power to 100% power. So 100%, you don't want to do that because you don't want to burn your edges. So I can bring the power all the way down to around 40 at 540 millimeters per minute, okay? And then if I'm engraving, this is a really nice one for the engraver because you can see as you start to get up in speed, when you get up here at 5,400, you can see these little skip lines right there. You see those skips? So you see skips right there. That means you're not going to get a good engrave. At 48,060, I still see some skips even at 100%. But when I come down here to 36,180 at 100%, that one looks pretty good. That one's not bad. You do see a little bit of a skip right there if you get a little slower. And if you come down to 30,240, now you're starting to get a pretty clean line. So, this one, keep in mind, this is 2 passes. So 30,240, a pretty clean line, and that is at 90% power. So the idea is that these things, these test materials, they show you how fast you can go and still maintain a decent quality based on your settings. So you might even say, well, if I have to do 2 passes, maybe I want to turn the laser down as low as I can and avoid any burn marks altogether. So you might look for something maybe in this 12,420 range and run 2 passes at 60. So, these are awesome things to be able to cut because they give you an idea of what you should expect in your results. So I'll be, writing on here what material this is and keeping it handy so that I can build up my layer configurations for later. Now here's another one where this was mainly meant to be a cut test. And what I wanted to do is run a cut test and bracket. I wanted to run what I knew to be the lowest value, which was going to be down here at 800. I wanted to run the lowest value that I could at 800. I just knew from prior tests it won't cut below 800. And I wanted to run it all the way up to 2000 because I knew it wouldn't cut above 2000. And also notice this is at 1 pass. So 1 pass, okay? Now, what you do on this one, same deal, is you look at the grid and say, okay, where did I get the best result? And I can see over here at 1143, I see some char marks at 100%. So that's probably no good. And if you look inside, you can also see, char marks when you look inside. And what you really want to see is like this caramel brown color. So if you find that inside, you can say, well, it looks like somewhere between 971 and 1000 is pretty good at a power level of maybe, 88, 77, somewhere in there. That looks pretty good. It gave me a nice clean cut, and that's maybe about as fast as we can go. I might be able to run it up at 1057 at 94% power and get away with that. So that might be something to try because I don't see any burnt edges here. So it just gives you an indicator on where to set your power. And I thought I'd share that with you because, I've been messing around with this thing and trying all these different cuts and things and, tuning and dialing. But this material test, man, it's a really neat way to kind of get a feel for what your material tolerates on your given laser setup. So I think it's pretty cool. I just wanted to share that with you. That's what's going on the laser. So all I can say, guys, is on the laser, hang tight. I promise you I'm going to look for really cool things to do on the laser. Hey, one other thing I'm going to share with you really quickly. I'm building the MXS, and to make a long story short, I don't know why they did it, but this is the servo outlet for the servos that I'm using. So I'm using these little high-tech 5070s, and that is the correct servo opening for the 5070. For some reason, on the port side of the plane, the hole is bigger than this, and I don't know why. It's got to be a mistake. So because when I first put the servo in, I pushed it right into the fuselage, right into the tail. And I thought, what the heck is going on? So I went and looked through my hardware bag, and they had one of these. But the very first thing that came to my mind was, well, fine, I'll just get on a laser. I'll measure the opening of the other ones. So I'll get the length and height, and then I'll just add a little buffer, and I'll cut a piece out on laser. It was the first thing I thought of, but they included that part in the kit. By the way, there's a look at that color we're talking about. That's the caramel brown that you're looking for on a laser cut, if you can get it, instead of black, So anyway, there you go. Laser cutters, they can save you in events like this because this was literally the first thing I thought of when I thought there was a problem. Fortunately, it came with the kit. So I had the part. I didn't have to make it, but I know it wouldn't take me very long to make that at all. So lasers, I'll tell you what, man, I think it's a very, very cool tool, and I expect to see a lot more laser stuff coming on the channel. All right, I'm going to go back and check comments and see how we're doing. And then we'll get moving through the next segment. Let's see. Getting better. Colorado, could be California. Weeding around Canada. It's called weeding out when you take the other piece out. All right. Thanks for the clarification, Robert. Let's see. I don't know what right looks like, but that's cool. Well, you learn. You want it to look like it was done in a commercial setting with ISO standards, right? Robert says, kind of had a standstill, Jeff, with the rain. All right. Looks like comments. Yeah. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. That's awesome if you guys do that. Jeff says, John, I've seen color being done with powder coating powder. I saw, if you look at the Acer website, their advertisement for their printer shows this like lion's head being printed in blue and black. I asked them how to do that, and they said it's laser settings. So I guess I have to go learn how to do it. Anyway. Let's see. It's called weeding out. Covered that. Weeding sounds Canadian. Okay. Could be Californian. Yeah, I guess it could be. If we were talking Ganji, I'd say Florida. Yeah, perhaps Florida. Good stuff from the laser. Yeah, no doubt, man. The laser, I think it's going to be a big win for the channel and for building. I just think because you can whip stuff out so fast on it. It's really good. All right. Robert says, so happy for you, John. I guess we're not going to see you much at the field, flying more at the swap meet. I know I got to start an Etsy store, man. I expect you guys to visit it too. Get your credit cards out. Jeff says, is anyone other than myself insanely envious of John's laser? Yeah, I know. The laser cutter is nice. That was a big pull for the channel. I'm very grateful to Acer for sending that one out. No question about it. Hobie says, grab some door skin from HD to practice on. From HD? Heli Direct? Is that HD or Harley Davidson? I don't know. Let's see. Robert says, it's just ridiculous. I ordered one. I got sent back because of customs. Oh, hopefully you get that worked out, Robert. I want to hear about that maybe on Discord. I'd love to hear it. EQRC says this tool will be amazing for the RC community. I've been pilots make gear doors, door mounts, motor mounts, and a lot of yeah. I mean, once you start thinking about it, your brain goes nuts thinking of all the different things you can make. You can make radial mounts for the motor, standoffs. You can make your own washers. You ever decided, oh man, I need a 2mm washer? Instead of putting a bunch of metal ones together, you can just cut yourself a piece of plywood washer and make your own washer, right? Elias is here. How you doing, Elias? Glad you can make it. Spin Launch Glides is excited for the new RXs. Hope RadioMaster sends out the pre-orders ahead of stocking. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully they do. I know that my understanding is that the orders for retail were already in and should have been on their way. So we'll see. Let's see. North 49 says, good evening. How you doing, Chris? Glad you could make it. Ken says, Garolite FR4 is used for the old school heli frame sides. Oh, how about that? FR4, huh? I stumbled into it just doing a little searching, and it turns out I couldn't even believe my luck. I watched a build video on the Extreme Flight 48-inch MXS, which is actually the Edge. The Edge and the 48-inch MXS have the same build video. And the Extreme Flight guy said, oh, and this G10 works great. So he was using G10. So I got lucky. Hobie confirmed it after I ordered it. But yeah, G10, Garolite G10. And it is awesome for things like horns and arms and stuff like that. Hobie says, cut your own horns or toot your own. Yeah, maybe a little both, right? Spin Launch Glide says, just tuning in. Which cutter? We covered that one. That is the Acer L2 G36, 36-watt laser. All right. Let me see. I'm still trying to catch up on comments here. That's kind of like a print tower. Yep, we covered that. Same principle. How much does that laser setup cost? Yeah, it was like $1,200. They're doing it for $450 off on pre-order right now, though. So I have an affiliate link in the video. If you guys are going to spend that money, use my affiliate link. Help me out. But it's, if you have Elias money, go get one. Well, that's all I can say. It's not one of those things I would have bought, but now having it, I don't ever want to let it go. I'd be devastated if Dave came and took it to his house. I'd be mortified. Laser cutter, some flowers. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Let's see. Acer. Yep. There's the link for it. Home Depot, wooden Crocs. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe some wooden shoes. Carving popsicle sticks is still my, yeah. Think about that, man. How many times have you ordered popsicle sticks from Amazon paying $5? You just get a piece of plywood and cut 100 popsicle sticks. You just get a piece of wood and cut 100 popsicle sticks in a New York second. You need some epoxy mixers? No problem. You need an epoxy plate? No problem. You cut yourself a couple little discs like this, in no time at all. You just whip these out, man. It's awesome. It's just, your mind goes crazy thinking about all the stuff, right? Thomas Schultz says, is there a lot of fumes? Yeah, it kind of depends on what you're cutting and your temperatures and your heat and all that stuff. But I can tell you that you do not want to burn these inside the house. That's for sure. Unless you have an smoke evacuation kit in the house. I have mine in the garage, and the first night I filled that garage up with smoke. It was so bad. I went in the house one time, and when I walked back out in the garage, I couldn't believe I was sitting in that. Give me the laser, says Jeff. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I'm going to hold on to this one for a little while. I'll tell you what, though. If for some reason, somehow I managed to get an upgraded laser, a sponsor, maybe I'll do a giveaway. Maybe I will. I think that'd be kind of cool. Drone Pilot says, was thinking about you seeing the news the other day with what's happening in Canada. Oh, Robert, yeah. All right, that's all the comments. So that's it on the laser. I hope I'm trying not to belabor the point. I am excited about it. All I can tell you guys is that, if it's been on your mind and if your budget allows, even if it's not the Acer, Acer's been good to the channel, definitely give them a look. The autofocus is very cool. That's a very cool feature. But if you've ever been on the fence about it and you just wanted to know, should I or shouldn't I? For me, it's an unequivocal yes, you should. They're definitely useful. And my mind is just going crazy coming up with ideas. All right. So that's it on the laser. Let's move on. FMS in July, man. First thing I got to tell you guys is that FMS has just been amazing. They've sent a lot of planes, and my contact over there does not monkey around. That woman is all business. When she says she's going to do something, buddy, let me tell you, she does it. You notice I'm clearing off the desk, right? I'm going to zoom out a little bit too. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about some things that are coming with FMS. And I'm going to sweeten the pot just a little bit. I told you to be free stuff. So, oh, look at that. Now the rim shot works. You got to be kidding me. Go away, you. Is it this one? It works on that screen. Doesn't work on the other one. I don't know what the deal is. Okay. I cleared the desk because I wanted to give you guys a little taste. I put a picture of a box up in Discord tonight, earlier in the evening, and it was the box that contains this. So I will be doing a full production video on this. So tonight I'm just giving you guys, the cool kids in the club, a little bit of a preview. If you are unaware, this is another Rafael, but this is not a 64 millimeter. This is the Mac Daddy Rafael. This is the 80 millimeter. And all I can tell you guys is that I lifted the lid off the box and it just literally took my breath away. The graphics were very unusual, very different. It's like a lemon yellow. I'm not into colors that much, so I think it's lemon yellow. Maybe not. This looks like maybe a corn yellow or maize yellow, if there's such a thing. But anyway, when I took the lid off, I was absolutely blown away at how bright and cool that whole plane looks. And then while I was looking at it, I noticed on the side little navigation lights. Check out the little nav blister right there. And there is there are the wires, and you can see the missile pod mounts on the side, all plastic. And then on the bottom, look at this. So I'm not sure, maybe they have a cover. I'm not sure for the aileron, but they do have one for the flaps, and maybe this mixes in with the armament pod. You know, that's what these are for. And notice that the arm for the flaps is covered. And then also take a look at the flaps, right? These are not your traditional EPO flaps. These are rounded and hinged. And they definitely, I'm going to try and move the servo to see if we can get a look at the hinge. I don't know if we'll be able to or not. Let's try this one. There we go. So I don't know if you'll be able to see the hinge or not, but they are mechanical hinges in these, and very, very nice. So this is an 80 millimeter Rafael. And of course, this one will get a full unbox first look video, and of course the flight video. So this is for 4th of July. There's going to be a 4th of July celebration event. And as part of that 4th of July celebration event, I'll be doing unbox and flight videos of the Rafael, and I'll be doing an unbox and flight video of the 64 millimeter F-16. And FMS is sponsoring a free plane giveaway via coupon code during those videos. So be ready when that hits. We're definitely going to be doing some cool stuff and some giveaways thanks to FMS and their sponsorship of the channel. So that's the first one. That's event number 1. There's another event coming as well. And the other event is a it's not a 4th of July. This is the 4th of July Independence Day version event. Then we have it's just called a July event. And in that one, I'll be taking a look at 2 more planes, beginner planes, and FMS is sponsoring giveaways on that one as well. They're going to be giving me more coupon codes for free planes to give away. And they're going to be on the channel. They're going to be on a live stream, and I will be doing the giveaway. I'll be pulling names somehow via random like I always do. And when I do, you'll get a coupon code. The winner gets a coupon code. You'll be able to redeem that at FMS, and they'll send you your winnings out. So I just wanted to let you guys know FMS is really, really sponsoring the channel well. They've been a great partner, and I look forward to doing more work because so far on their planes, I've been pleased. Are they perfect? No, they're not. Are they good airplanes? Yes, they are. And, it's very rare you find a plane that's flawless, right? But they're pretty good. And I would say that with, a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, you can probably dial them in to make them work however you want. So it's a good foundation to tune them up the way you want. So thanks FMS for sponsoring the channel. Thanks for giving away the free stuff to the channel subscribers. I appreciate that. And I hope you guys like what they're doing for the channel, giving us an opportunity to take a look at what's coming up. 80 millimeter Rafael. I cannot wait to get this one out. I'm simply going to tell you guys, when I took the cover off this one, it took my breath away. Very cool looking plane. And I'll tell you right now, if you notice the thumbnail I use for the Rafael video, it's that front profile. It is a super aggressive looking plane. I just absolutely love it. So I'm really excited to try the 80mm version. I'm hoping that I get a little more flight time, maybe a little more power to do some more stuff up in the air. So there you go. That is FMS coming in July, my friends. It's going to be an exciting week. So make sure you're paying attention to those videos. And when you see a live stream with FMS in the title, you better get in, because that's where it's going to happen. We're going to do the stuff in a live stream. So let's see. Robert says, I thought it was a Cub. Yeah, same color, right? But the wrong shape, man. The Cub, the Cub has different wings. I don't know what is up with this what is up with my Stream Deck. It's just giving me a hard time. So let's see. You heard it here, folks. Gimme. Outside aileron, inside flaps. Yeah, that's what it is, Robert. Inside flaps, outside ailerons. Yep. If you don't play, you don't win. That's right. That's a fact. FMS is really good. Yeah, they've been very good. I've always been very happy with the quality of the FMS airframes. The only place I've ever had an issue with FMS has been in the power department, and it's not as bad as some other vendors, but sometimes the power can be a little soft. That's why I mentioned it several times in the Ranger video and the Rafael video. Like, keep these things in mind. As long as you go in eyes open, you're fine. And, for me, maybe my power tastes are a little aggressive. I know they are. I know I like a real strong power plant. So David says 6S or 8S. David, I'm not sure. I believe the Rafael, the 80mm is 6S. I need to check. I believe it's 6S. I haven't. I only got it today. I took it out of the box. I wanted to spend more time with it, but I had to come in and be with you guys. So I didn't get any time to spend on the Rafael. I've been working pretty much all my free time working on electronics and the MXS build. So, John, do you have batteries for it? I am sure I do have batteries for it, Robert. I believe I have batteries for this one. Pretty sure I do. All right, let's see. I'm just going to check. Is this thing working? Overhead camera. Is it working? Yep, it works, right? And back to the desktop. Okay, looks like it works. The Stream Deck giving me grief. Okay. All right, so that's it for the FMS thing. I did want to make sure you guys understood. You're on the live stream now. When I do the FMS live stream, don't miss. Jeff H, yes, the 80mm Rafael does have retracts. Yes, absolutely. In fact, they're on the airframe. They're on the fuselage, so they're not on the wing. I can't show you, but they are on the fuselage. And yeah, it's beautiful underneath. It's got, sequenced gear doors, sprung landing, all of that. But I haven't actually looked at the gear yet. I haven't extended them, so I haven't seen it close up. And as you guys know, I don't watch other review videos until after I do my review, because I don't want to color my review, right? I want to give you my point of view on it, not somebody else's. That's why. Photios is here. Good evening. The Rafael is so cool looking. Yeah, I agree, man. It is a very, very cool looking jet. Very, very cool looking stuff. All right, that wraps up FMS in July. Man, we're only about halfway through. HobbyEagle update. All right, who said it? Ken said it. Let's get over to the workspace. This is not the one I want. This is the one I want. So I have to get into Discord and tell you guys that before I go any further, this information you're about to see is from Gordon McKee in the UK. Gordon gets the tip on this one. My shout out to my boy Gordon in the UK. He came out with this. He stops in Discord. We're all going about our day, minding our business, arguing about gyros, playing with edge configs, figuring out how to do quick trainer take back between a DSM and a WT01. It's just one of those days. Gordon just shows up and he goes, hey, just do you guys know that the HobbyEagle has crsf now? I'm like, what are you kidding me? He goes, no, it's there. So, and it just dropped June 13th, man. It was like 3 days ago. I was just in there and just did an update for the MXS like 2 days ago, and it wasn't there. And now all of a sudden it's there. Check this out, man. Look at that. It's TBS, RS, crsf. It's right there. And now I have it. I'm gonna pop the camera up here. Let me do the overhead camera. There's the HobbyEagle. And now what I need to do is plug in the receiver. I got to give this a little power. So we're going to put that on there. And I got to give the whole thing a little bit of juice. So I'm going to do that with my little BEC because I have it handy. I couldn't believe this, man. It just blew me away. And now I got to get a radio out. So 1 second while I get the radio out. So here we go. I just wanted to give you guys a look at this because I freaking couldn't believe it, man. It was so exciting to me to see crsf in the HobbyEagle that I immediately went out and got it. I'm going to put all my switches down. So this is the MXS config I've been working on, right? So now I'm going to power this thing up. I've got a BEC. I'm just going to power it up. We'll put power on channel 3. And that should give my receiver power. There's my receiver. You can see now we've got telemetry on the radio. Let me bring the overhead camera in so you guys can see it. And of course the brightness is too bright. Hold on. Let me bring the brightness down a little bit for you guys. I normally put it on a slider. Long story. Just let me have it, okay? Okay, so there we go. We've got telemetry on the radio. See the RX bat? There's the telemetry. And now I'm going to hide this. We're going to go back to the workspace, and I'm going to show you guys. There's the HobbyEagle. You see that? Check it out. The HobbyEagle right here, it's now a drop-down. You simply have to enable serial digital receiver, and then at the bottom, you get an option. You have to scroll down. Look at that. TBS, ELRSF, crsf. It's right there. And check it out, man. That works. Can you believe that? So now you don't even need S-Bus anymore. You can use crsf. Remember how I told you, you just use the one pin? And by the way, the other thing I wanted to show you guys, because why not? This is UART out. This is UART out on the 8GV, and that's going directly via my 3-pin connection into the gyro on the serial port right there on the HobbyEagle. Let me bring the big camera up so you can see it a little better. This is the serial port on the HobbyEagle, okay? And that runs, all my wires are confuzzled. So there you go. There's the serial wire, one wire from the RadioMaster 8GV going into my HobbyEagle. And when we look at the workspace, there's your output. I mean, right? Is that cool? So Gordon McKee, the man from the UK, comes in and just drops this little casual, hey, FYI, Crossfire's crsf is available on HobbyEagle now. I couldn't freaking believe it. You do have to update your software. You have to update your configuration tool. And of course, you have to install the firmware on the device. And the firmware version, here it is 1.6. So native crsf, you don't even need S-Bus. How cool is that, man? Is that something? I think that's amazing. Very cool. And you're worried about getting your pointer out. I had the pointer, man. I had it tonight. Gordon Jeff just joined. How you doing? Gordon Golf. How you doing, Gordon? David Canute says FMS says it requires 6S 4000 to 5000. Well, I happen to have both. I've got 33, 4, and 5. So I'm good to go. Good to go. All right. I just wanted to show you guys that because Ken stole my thunder, man. What's up, Ken? You come in on the live stream and you get ahead of the agenda and steal my surprise for everybody, man. All right. It's all good. All good. That was fun, right? How cool is that? crsf on HobbyEagle. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it, man? There it is. Proof of life. It works. It worked 100%. Yep, I know. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, that was it on the HobbyEagle. I just wanted to share that with you. You guys are using the HobbyEagle A3 Super 4. There you go. You got crsf. Okay. Next thing is the high-tech programmer. This is another little gadget that I checked out this week, and I want to bring this one up as well. We're going to bring up the workspace, and I'm going to put this aside. We don't need my block of wood anymore. All right, so I've still got my BEC connected. I'm going to bring in my little, this is called the DPC 11. It's a DPC 11. I turned away from the camera, or the mic, I'm sorry. There it is, DPC 11. This is by High-Tech. Now, the reason I got this because of Rob. Rob comes in and he talks about programming things like endpoints and centering on High-Tech servos. And also, Rob also, when I mentioned that I got the DPC, he said that he had heard that this thing is a pain in the neck. It doesn't work right. So I'm like, well, I'll find out. And if it doesn't work, I'll just send it back or ask for a refund. But anyway, I figured I'd show this to you. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat. When I tried to install the driver, I had to jump through some hoops. It did not work on Windows 11 out of the box. But if you do a search for not connected to PC on the software, it will tell you, if you go in the Windows driver update advanced section, it will show you a driver update that you can apply that works. It actually took my Windows update about 30 minutes before it registered that driver update. I looked 3 times. It wasn't there. I called their help desk. He called me back. He goes, let's go look at the driver update. I said, I've already been in there. It doesn't work. He goes, well, can we go look again? I said, sure. We went and looked again. Lo and behold, there's the damn driver. So I hit install and it instantly popped up, and now I'm up and running. So I wanted to give you guys a look at what this does because it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's one of these deals that I've known about these on these programmable servos for a while, but I've never bothered with them until I heard Rob Bender say, oh yeah, you can set your servo center. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, servo center is one of those things that kind of annoys me a little bit. When my servo arm is not perfectly where I want it to be, 90 degrees, it just makes me nuts because I hate using trim and sub trim to fix that kind of thing. So servo center is there, and you can control deadband. So let's go ahead and plug this in. I got to plug a battery in. There's the battery. And I have the signal going the right way. I'm plugged in. All right. So now you can see that I have a connection right here. Let me turn the mouse highlighter on. So you got, because I can't make this window any bigger. It doesn't get any bigger. So let me just turn that on real quick. Okay. See how I got the green light right here? That means I've got a connection now. And I'm going to go back to the main window. When I first started, why are we not there? Start window. When I first started doing this, oh, it's not gonna let me have that, huh? Hold on, hang tight. I want to move the overhead camera. Oh, it's still not gonna let me. Oh, you're being prickly, are you? All right. Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So this is like a splash screen kind of deal. Right here, DPC 11 is connected. That's what you're looking for. I was getting a red message, and that's where the driver update. High Tech got on with me. They helped me out, and I got the driver update, and then it started to work. Then once you do that, you click on the servo version. I'm on a 5070, so I click on that, and that brings up this little guy, okay? So there's our connection window. Now what I'm going to do is connect a servo, and by the way, I've already been messing with this software on other servos, but all I'm going to do, let me bring the camera back so you can see what I'm doing with my hands. I'm going to take my servo and I'm going to plug it into the controller. And when I do that, the DPC 11 will start reading. You see the little arrow, the little green status bar? It starts reading the parameters from the servo. Here's the servo. All right. So now that I've done that, oh, it says, please check. I have seen that a couple times. It's not like it's flawless. Let's unplug it and plug it back in again. See if we can get it to read it correctly this time. When it reads it correctly, you'll get the ability to make changes to your software on the servo. There you go. So servo connection is complete. So it's not completely without flaws. And I don't have a servo arm. Let me see if I can get a servo arm for you guys. It's kind of hard to watch the spline turn, right? So let me get a servo arm out for you. Oops, wrong bag. Here we go. Here are the servo arms. Let me just pop one on here so you guys can see it move. So this is a really cool feature, and it's why I got these. And that and the specs. The specs were there. The specs were all there on this particular servo. So here you go. Now I've got my servo arm on there, and that actually looks pretty darn close to center. But here's what I like. You click this little setting button right here, and now you can adjust your center by using this little slider. So watch the arm, and I'm gonna click on the slider over here. See the slider going? I'm gonna drag it. Watch what happens to the arm. See how that arm is moving? Now, if that's the way I want it, all I have to do is hit OK, and that becomes my new servo center. If I want it over here, you know, if it's off just a little bit, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I know you do. If you build a plane, you know what I'm talking about. But you come in here and you can adjust the center like that. And when you get it where you want, you just hit OK, and it marks that as your center. And then You have the ability to set your endpoints if you want, your left and right endpoints. And check this out. Look at this little value right here. That's your deadband. So I don't want 2 microseconds of deadband. I'm going to set mine to 1. So I hit set, and there we go. Now my servo is set with 1 microsecond for deadband in the middle. You also can control the speed. So if you want to slow the speed down, I'll just show you what that looks like. I'm going to put it on step, and we'll hit start. And you can see it's just kind of stepping through, right? That's at 100%. Now I'm going to lower it. There's 20%. And there's 40%. And there's 100%. So you can control the speed of the servo if you want to slow things down for some reason. Isn't that cool? You can also set a PWM pulse width for failsafe if you want. You come up here, hit center, and then let's see. It's right here. You hit failsafe on, and then all you have to do is reconnect the servo. So I think it's a pretty cool little tool. It was like, I don't know, I got it from A-Main. I think I want to say it was around $12. So if you're like me and you have a little bit of OCD when it comes to things like servos, and you've been going crazy trying to figure out a way to solve it, there it is, the DPC-11, and it does work. So I didn't have any problems working. Oh, and by the way, there's overload protection down here as well. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. Thought you guys might get a kick out of seeing that work. If you've ever been interested in programming a servo, this is how you do it. That's a digital servo that you can program. Okay. DPC-11, that's by Hi-Tech. It's like $12. Check and make sure compatibility. Don't just go buy any Hi-Tech servo and think you're going to be okay. You do have to make sure from a compatibility standpoint that your servos are supported. In other words, get the right programmer for the right servos. In my case, this DPC-11 did the job, and it was fairly cheap, and it works fine. A little, a little bit of flake here and there, but nothing, nothing that we're not used to in the hobby when it comes to software. There's always like some little curveball, right, when it comes to software. Anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy that. I'd never seen one of those live, and there you go. That's what you get for coming to a Pilot Jam. You get to see stuff like that. I won't make a production video out of that. I don't know, maybe. If there were enough interest, I guess I would, but probably not. That's fairly niche kind of concept, I think. All right, I'm going to check the comments. All right, where are we? You're worried about your pointer. Sorry, I didn't see it on Discord. Was literally setting up a new plane when the Pilot Jam started. Well, there you go, Ken, man. You got Crossfire on your A3 Super 4 if you need it. That's so cool. That's a reference to the crsf, I know. One job. I did my job. What? I had everything ready. Spin launch glide. The Tekken and AGF servos have something similar. Overload protection is really nice in case you accidentally make the servo bind. It'll back off instead of frying. They also have slow start too, which you can turn on and off. So slow start's kind of cool as well. Ken N says the programmer's cool. No more weird I know, man. That's the one that kills me, Ken. Because you know what I do? I do this. I get on my radio. I set everything up. I program everything I want. And then I press the monitor button, and then I see something like channel 1 has it has 2%. I'm like, wait, why is my channel 1 at 2%? Why is that saying that? I get annoyed about it. It'll sit there like this, right? 3%, 2%, 5%, whatever. Like, why is it doing that? And then I realize, oh, it's a sub trim or trim or something to that effect. So it really makes me nuts. And that feature is really kind of nice because, tonight, you guys saw it. It's just the way it goes when it comes to servos, right? If I were setting this up in a plane off camera, that servo would have been at 90 degrees. You guys know that servo would have looked like that, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? It would have been like that. And then you have to go into trim or sub trim because you want the same throw on both sides, right? So you have to go sub trim it out and get it to be perfect. But then your radio shows you that trim, and it is aggravating. I hate that. So that centering tool on the servo is very cool because it gets rid of those kinds of problems, and you can get your center exactly where it needs to be, right? So very, very cool. All right, let's see. Jeff says, I like the Hi-Tech HVP 21 Plus because you can set up the servo without need of a PC. Yeah, I've seen that board too. I think that board is like $84 though. So I looked at the two, And I thought, man, I don't want to spend $84 for a programmer. This one's 10. It does the same servo, so I'll try it. 12 or whatever. It's cheap. So I tried it. But yeah, I guess if you do a lot of high tech, that would be a worthwhile investment, I think. Right? Because then, yeah, you don't have to worry about the PC. You just do it right on the plane. You don't have to haul the plane over to a PC. Yeah, I get it. Definitely something to consider. But I don't really use a lot of high tech. I use KST, mainly KST. For my high-end servos, and I have their programmer, so I don't really use too much high-tech. But I got these because it's what I could find in stock, and for the price and for the specs, I thought they were really good. So Ken says, you also got to trust the A3 S4 with tight stick tolerance, doesn't interpret your sub trim as commanded. Yeah, that's right. You do. And that trim is always an issue when it comes to stabilizer if you're using it. So absolutely agree with you on that, Ken. FD says, hey, John, my wife heard your voice on YouTube the other day, and she thinks you should really go for a career as a professional radio host. Give it a thought, man. She's always right. Of course. Oh, of course they are. I told my wife that I've only been wrong once in my life, and that's when I thought I was wrong, but I was right. And yeah, I had to sleep on the couch that night. North 49 RC says, I don't need Google. My wife knows everything. Just ask her. That reminds me of another wife joke. This dude, comedian on YouTube, I don't remember his name, but he goes, yeah, one of the reasons we keep the women around is because they know everything. They keep everything in store. So the other day we were at dinner and I sat down, I looked at the menu and I thought, I think I'd really like a Caesar salad. So I looked across the table to my personal database, which I also call my wife. And I said, hey, honey, do I like the Caesar salad here? And she said, no, you don't like the Caesar salad here. It has anchovies and you hate anchovies. He said, look, I just need the information, not the attitude. Okay. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it's true, man. My wife knows more about what I'll eat than I do half the time, I think. At least where I'll do it, right? Gordon says, I'd like to see how many servos it would work on. Yeah, it's a list, man. And they, just so you know, on the box, on the software, if I bring the start window back up, let me bring that up real quick for you so you can see it. Are we still not doing the start window? Oh, the screen. Oh, here we go again. We're back at this. We're playing this game. Okay, so the start window, if you look at it, it says D series, HSB 9X, HS5X, and 7X. That's what works on this one. So I'm sure if you Google it, you'll be able to find, what servos. But here's the list that the software, the DPC11 claims: D series, HSB 9, HS5, and HS7. Okay, all right. Well, let's see. We'll go back to this one. I'm going to check the rest of the comments, and then we'll get motivated here. Okay, that's it on the comments. Good. We're cooking with gas now. Man, we're coming up on an hour and a half, and I still have a little bit more to go. All right, let's see. That is it for the high-tech programmer. I thought you guys might like that. Oh, Q&A. We got a lot of Q&A to cover tonight. Believe that. Hey, I want to remind you guys, patreon.com/RC video reviews. If you like what you see on the channel, you feel like you're learning something, you like the value. This is how I do this stuff, guys. My patrons, they help out, right? And of course YouTube does as well. But this is what allows me to do this stuff. It's how I figure this stuff out. The patrons contribute. They help financially with the burden of running a channel and bringing in stuff for review and then showing it to you guys. I figure it out and I show you how it works and what I like and what I don't like. So big tip to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, patreon.com/RC video reviews, I got a tier for $3 a month. Or, if you got Robert money, you can do the $20, the $20 if you want to do that. But every little bit helps. So just a reminder, patreon.com. Thanks to you guys who do that. All right. Let's get into a little bit of Q&A. I'm going to watch the comments as we go through this, but Q&A, this one was cute. I thought this was kind of like one of those V8 moments, right? In the RC video reviews video on Express LRS receivers from RadioMaster, Captain Bry comes in. He says, oh, by the way, you can also output, he says, I got to bring in the equipment for effect. I've got a wiring disaster over here on the side. But Captain Bry comes in, he goes, yeah, by the way, you can do crsf out on these receivers over those 4 wires. And this guy comments, I don't know the guy's name, so I'm not trying to tease him or anything, but he comments, he goes, are you sure? There's no reference of it in the manual. And I have to agree, right? There was no reference of crsf out on that UART. And Captain Bry writes back, that's the comment of the month, man. He writes back, he goes, you mean the CRS output port? That's what I just showed you. it definitely puts out the channel data on that port. Source, I wrote it. I was like, man, that is the comment of the month, right? That's like the ultimate mic drop. I thought it was hilarious. I got a real chuckle. He's being, cute, but funny. He wrote the code. So no soldering to the receiver, blah, 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 blah. You just plug that little thing in and there you go. So I got a real chuckle out of that, Bri. I replied, that is the comment of the month. That was very funny. It's really cool when we have the developers who know what the code does commenting on the videos. I love that. I think it's awesome that they participate and partake. And Captain Bri, you're doing amazing stuff with the ELRS over there. Keep it up, my friend. You guys are great. Love the ELRS team. All right, next up, Jason says, ELRS is finally starting to look like a valid way to get into fixed wing. All I can say on that, fellas, is that that is no joke. What the heck is up there? I was losing my gray. That is no joke, Jason. And I saw comment after comment after comment after comment on the channel about, oh, well, it looks like I'm going to have to give ELRS a try now, because RadioMaster just came out with a very complete solution. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier in the session, right? You got to remember that some people don't want to solder their receivers. They just want to take it out of the box and go. And that's one of the kind of recurring themes that I saw in some of these comments. And that is, oh, wow, now I have to give it a try. Saw a lot of that. So I think we're going to see more and more. And all I can say is that I am thrilled to see the progress being made on the fixed wing side of the house with Express LRS. Very cool stuff. Laurent Montron, he says, I'll hope to release a LiPo cell's voltage sensor to connect to a UART port to have in the telemetry the voltage of each cell, and to have the possibility to set a low battery voltage alarm on the lowest cell instead of the total LiPo pack voltage. And, I get that one because I've used the FreeSky sensors that have per cell voltage. I get it. I got it. I understand. The one thing that I would say, and I brought this one in because I wanted to give you guys an alternative perspective. That's all. Your money, your hobby, do your thing. If you need to have per cell, I get it. I understand. But here's my proposition to you. And that's that when I fly, the batteries that go in the air, I generally like to see their IR very, very close. And if it's not, I tend to retire those batteries because I don't want excessive voltage sag on a cell to end a flight when it shouldn't be ended. So here's my argument. It's not an argument. Here's my point of view. Okay. Just a point of view. That's it. I want you guys getting all upset. If you need to have per cell, fine, go get it. But if my point of view is that if you have batteries that are healthy and they have relatively consistent IR across the pack, then I think the low aggregate voltage is probably enough. Another argument that I would make is that if you needed to, you could put the pin on the balance lead for your weakest cell. And your weakest cell sags, it's going to drag down your average. But that said, for me, I've been perfectly satisfied after running almost every plane I have on the VBAT overall pack voltage, and it's been fine. And the reason it's been fine is because the overall voltage is really the thing that's providing power to the plane, not single cell voltage. So if you have a bad cell bringing it down, you're probably going to see some sag and it's going to trigger the alert. But even if it didn't, and I do understand the argument for per cell voltage. I get it. I'm just suggesting to you that if your batteries are healthy, VBAT's probably less problematic than you think it is. That's all I'll say. I can tell you in my case that combined with my timer, when I use my voltage to tune my timer and I use my no sag voltage alert, I have the video on the YouTube for that. When I use that configuration and I combine that with a timer that's been tuned according to voltage, I can land a plane time after time after time at 3.8 volts of rest after rest every time. Now, sure, I could go down to 375 if I wanted to. I could go down to 365 if I wanted to. I don't want to. I set mine at about 3.7 to 3.75, depending on the C rating of the battery. And then I go from there. And I'm just telling you guys time after time, I can bring a battery down at 3.8 religiously all the time. And I use 3.8 because I'll store them at 3.85. So that way I can put them on the storage charge and balance them up to storage. And it's a very effective arrangement. So just throwing that out there as an alternative point of view. Okay. You do your money, your hobby, do what makes you happy. All right. Devin says, good. Now I can fit my 3D planes with these and get rid of my Futaba stuff. I've seen a lot of that kind of commentary too. In fact, one of the guys in Discord pointed to a Futaba servo and he said, why would I spend, $129 on a Futaba when I can buy this one for $30? And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I don't know. I see a lot of that, and I kind of expect that ELRS is going to drive some business toward the Express LRS. I think these new receivers by RadioMaster will drive some business toward Express LRS without a question. No doubt in my mind that's going to happen. Yeah, here's another one. He says, this is messed up when the most expensive of these is cheaper than the cheapest Futaba. Incredible price. Makes me wish I had ELRS. When I finished off this comment, I said, I wanted to mention this to you guys because here's another point of view that I just want to throw out. I said, not only from a price perspective is it compelling, but I have been watching my telemetry. I've been logging and watching my telemetry very, very closely for a few weeks on different Express LRS receivers that I've been using. And I can tell you without a hesitation that when you have good, solid working equipment, once you're over infant mortality, that Express LRS RF does latch on like a pit bull with lockjaw. That is straight up the truth. And even the single antenna designs like the EPW6 and the ER5A and the ER5C and the EP1 or RP1, all of the single antenna stuff still locks on like a pit bull with lockjaw. And I said, my reference was, I'm talking RQLY at 333 hertz of 95% or better using 25 milliwatts of dynamic power. And I said, if you let that sink in for a minute, that should be jarring to your senses. Like the guys who know, they're like, yeah, that's right. But if you don't know, and you understand this RF tech, that should be jarring to your senses, because what that means is that I'm getting at 95% RQLY. That means my receiver understands 316 packets every second. And I'm only using 25 milliwatts of power, which means I have 975 more milliwatts, not mere milliwatts, more milliwatts at my disposal. 975 more milliwatts at my disposal, and I'm at 95% RQLY, which means I'm getting 316 packets per second to my receiver that are understood, not junk. That's throwing out the junk that it didn't understand. Now, if you think for a second that your hand can go that fast 316 times in a second, you're crazy. You're crazy. So that's why I am like hook, line, and sinker on Express LRS right now, because what I'm seeing, objectively seeing, is a ridiculous quality of RF link at a price point that I don't think anybody can beat, period. That's it. That's like, if I had a microphone, I'd drop it on the table right now. So that was an interesting comment. And I threw it up there because I wanted you guys to see, when I do things like convert the fleet, it's not on a whim. I did the homework. I inspected the data, and I'm telling you, man, this software is where it's at right now for me. That's 100% fact. All right, next up, Wolfie. Here's another one. Oh, Wolfie says the word mic drop. How about that? Fantastic job, RadioMaster mic drop, Grand Slam. Just what I've been waiting for. See, there's another guy. He's been around for a while. He's been looking, and now he pays attention to the videos. I know Dave, because Dave, he's around on Discord. He's been with the channel for a very long time. And he says, now I'm good to go. I'm going to go get some of this stuff. So it's what he's been waiting for. I think a lot of us have been waiting for it. So, this is the voice of experience. He's been flying for a long time. I've watched Dave fly, a lot of skill, knows what he's talking about. Don't take my word for it. Take his. And by the way, I don't make any money on ELRS anyway. So Dave, good job. I know you will like your new equipment. P. Ferrick, here's another one. Peter, if you guys don't know Peter, he is one of the key developers on EdgeTX. Peter is kind of in the middle of the maelstrom, right? He kind of manages a lot with the timing and pacing and PRs and releases. He's in the middle of EdgeTX. He even came out and he said, hey, Here's where your UART is. He pointed out because I couldn't find it. And then he said, I think RadioMaster are on to a winner with the ER series. Keep in mind, guys, he's a developer, right? He inspects, right, at the low level. He understands the math. He understands the mixer. He understands the radio tech. So he does this stuff. He codes. He's smart like this, right? He says they're on to it. The presentation and build quality of these look great. I like the attention to small details like the rubber strain relief for the antenna on the ER6 and ER8. That's a miss on my part. I didn't even call that out. But yeah, strain relief. That's another one of those things on the DIY type. Let me bring up a DIY style. Of course, it's not like this from the factory. I made it DIY style. But in my case, I can tell you guys that when it comes to shrink wrapping a DIY Express LRS, I pay all kinds of attention to that UFL right there. If you'll notice, my heat shrink is designed to cover and make sure that UFL stays on that board. You don't have to worry about that stuff. On the RadioMaster receivers, they took care of that for you. So there's a value add, right? Worth a little bit of money. That's a good call out by Peter. So thanks for the comment, Peter. All right, next up is Photios. Photios snuck in here. He said, that's some up-level 3D flying you're doing there, John. Way to go. Is it my idea, or is this little devil has your skills improved? 100% my skills are increasing because I'm getting an opportunity to fly with that basher. So if you are interested in flying 3D and you don't have a profile plane, all I can tell you, man, is go get one. What are you waiting for? I haven't had one forever. I've had them before. I haven't had a good quality one, and I'm kicking myself for not having a profile plane earlier. All I can say is go get one. Just go get one. So Photios, yeah, man, you're right. There's no question in my mind my skills have improved in 3D flying 100%. Not 100%, but certainly gone up. And I'm willing to try things that I know how to do in a simulator that I'm not willing to do to a balsa plane at the field. And that's what he saw. All right, let's see. This one, question number 9. Nice. This is another one that I just, I did this one to give you guys a little flavor for FMS. So I get this guy. I don't know him. I've never met him before. His handle is DJR. He says, I picked up a Corsair. I got a bum clevis. I contacted FMS, no help. And I said, oh no. And then I talked to him about how I did a field repair on a clevis just to give him an idea if it worked for him. Maybe he can, try it out. And he says, nope, it came stripped, so I can't thread it in. And when he posted that, I went back to FMS, my contact, and I said, hey, there's a question you should probably be aware of on my YouTube channel. Maybe you want to check it out. And I posted it, and check it out, man. FMS came into the channel and said, hey, I'm sorry about your problems. Give me your order number. Let me see if I can help you out. That is what I'm talking about. That's a class act, right? I think that's really cool by FMS to say, hey, let me get in here and help sort out your problem. And, not cool that you haven't been responded to. Give me your order number. Let's work it out. So what more can you ask for, right? Sure, companies are going to make mistakes. It happens. I can't answer why the initial contact didn't go through, but I got to give FMS 2 thumbs up for jumping in, right? They went into a public situation, said, sorry about our mistake. Let me help you out. And I think that's really cool. So by the way, that's another advantage of having sponsors on the channel, because I get contacts internal to the corporation, right? I don't go through the help desk, right? I have contacts inside. And when I say, hey, you should check this out, sometimes they'll come and help, right? They may say, yep, we're going to work on that. And that's what happened in this case. He got a little bit of help. So I was really impressed with FMS for that. Congratulations, FMS. Good job. Very good community. I like that. Very happy to see that kind of thing. All right. Michelle Petrus. Michelle, is that how you say that? Mitchell? No, it's not Mitchell. I'd say Michael. I don't know. Help me out. He says, great tool. He's talking about the laser. Cannot wait to see what you'll do with it. At least you can peacefully, this is hilarious. He goes, you can crash your laser and repair it with your laser. That was kind of funny. I thought that was hilarious. He said it'd be great if all the manufacturing gives the specs for all the parts. You can laser cut them. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool if you could get the plan so you can cut replacement parts? I think that'd be very cool. But he says maybe some crazy people will cut kits from scratch. I got news for you. That's already happening, man. Little Ski, he's already made his entire plane in Lightburn and cut it and built it. So that's already going on. If you want to see this stuff, get in Discord. I'm going to ask one of the mods to post the link for Discord. Get in there, man. You'll be amazed at what you can pick up in there. Amazed. I used my own Discord to learn about lasers. It was cool. I thought it was very cool to have that. I was, normally I'm on the other side, but I was a student this time and I got to learn. So I was really happy about that. Get in there, man. Get in the Discord. That's all I can say. Get in there. All right. And that brings us back to number one. Woo! That was a lot of Q&A, man. My throat is scratchy. We covered a lot of ground there. Hey, are you guys seeing the stream in 4K? Last week we had an issue. This week it looks like it's been solid the whole time. I just figured I'd check and see. You guys watching this in 4K? And how has it been? Hopefully the stream has been solid for you. All my indicator lights are all green, so hopefully it's been good. All right, we are finally up to coming up. I'm going to check comments. We're going to do coming up, then we're going to wrap this baby up, man. Hour and a half, hour and 40. Let's see here. North 49 says, Chris says they just captured a whole new market with these RXs. I would even put the 4-channel in my crawler. Yeah. Yeah, for car, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree, Chris. Or yeah, I think they captured got a whole set of new attention span without a question. Spin Launch Glide says, I only fly line of sight, but it's nice to just never worry. Yeah, that's it for me, man. A lot of my flying has been line of sight. Well, I'll put it this way. Anything I admit to is line of sight. And I'm the same way. You know, once I put an Express LRS plane in the air, I don't think about it. I don't worry about telemetry. I don't worry about RQOY. I don't worry about transmit power. I just worry about flying the plane. That's it. So 100% agree with you. Nice to not have to worry about what's going on with the radio. Now, I want to say something because I don't want to get in trouble with you guys later. You know, the reality is that the world that we live in is imperfect, and it is possible that you could have hardware go bad. It's possible you could have a current spike on your power rail. It's possible things could go wrong. All right, let's be clear about that. I'm not saying it's perfect. What I am saying is that in observational data, looking at logs with data that I've been logging, when I look at it, I can't see anything that's alarming. Have I spiked to 50 milliwatts? Yep. Have I spiked to 500? Yeah. One time, one of my logs, I spiked to 500, but it went down instantaneously, right back down to 25. Has my RQLI dropped below 95? Sure. I've hit 86. I've hit, 92. I'm talking on the whole, on the average. When I look at my RQLI, it's normally around 95 or higher. When I look at my T-Power, 99% of the time, it's 25 or higher, or lower, 25. It's at 25, not lower. 25 is as low as you can go. So that's my point, right? I'm not saying that you will never have a failure. What I'm saying is that software clearly works, right? There could be a failure. You could have a hardware problem. You could have a bad chip. You could have a bad circuit on your system somewhere that caused a failure. It's possible. But what I am saying is on the whole, the software is vetted and proven. That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, I just want to be clear about that part because I know what'll happen. Someone will go, I went out and crashed my stuff. Well, okay. Well, things do happen, but I can say on the whole, it's not the software. All right. Great content, says Hobie. Thank you, Hobie. I appreciate that. Spin Launch Glide says looks perfect in 4K. Awesome, man. I love it when the 4K works because it does look better after the fact. No question about it. All right, let's get into what's coming up, man. We've covered so much ground tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video tonight. I'll remind you, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, do that. If you haven't subscribed, look, man, we got 28,000 and change subscribers, 28,300 or something. And we're heading for 30,000. A full 65% of the people who watch my videos don't subscribe. It's a lot of work to put in. If you don't subscribe, put the effort in, just hit the little subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Come on, help a brother out, leave a comment, share the video, like the video. All of that stuff helps my videos get placement. That's all I'm asking for in return for working and doing all this stuff to bring you guys content, right? Grow the base, grow the user count, because as we grow, the sponsors take you more seriously and they're more willing to do more things with you. So, it's kind of like this self-fulfilling loop. If we all work together, we get more information, right? You get more content. We get to see more stuff. It's a symbiotic relationship. That's what it is. All right. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. First off, we got Fred building a yak, and I don't think he's going to have it done Saturday because he builds kind of slow, but I can tell you it's coming up. The Fast Freddy RC Yak Maiden is coming, And I also happen to know, because I've watched it, that he's been spending some time in the simulator trying to get ready to put on a show for you guys. So one way or another, you're going to get to see Freddie flying some 3D on a crazy spastic little 32-inch Twisted Hobbies Yak. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming. The Dassault Rafale, the 80 millimeter yellow, big yellow, man, that thing is such a cool looking plane. That's coming. The F-16 video is coming. The 2 trainers that FMS is sending me are coming, and they're not trainers. They're beginner planes. But actually, both of them are very cool, very capable. So I've got 2 of those coming. I've got the Crash Proof MXS 48 coming. I've got a HobbyEagle Crossfire video coming. And we got some RadioMaster Express LRS receiver material coming. And we've got some live streams coming where we're giving away planes. I am queued up on content. Oh, and I got to still squeak in some laser material and a couple more pilot jams. Man, there is a lot of stuff on the way for the channel. I'm going to be working really hard to bring you guys content. I hope you enjoy it. So that's what's coming up, man. There is a lot of material on the way. All I can say is keep an eye on the channel. And on the MXS, on that note, Hobie said MXS, on that note, my intention is to try and get that crash-proof setups dialed into the point where I can get that MXS down to about 30 feet. That 25, 30 feet, that's my goal. That's my goal. If I can get it down to 25 or 30 feet and make it a crash-proof setup, man, that means we can do anything we want trying to learn 3D. Oh, and I got the M4 to do too. I got the spares. I've been so busy this week, I haven't even gotten to the M4 yet. I got the M4. I got to get that one out. That's got the Spirit GT arrangement with the GPS and that too. Man, we have so much stuff coming for the channel. It's just insane. So keep your subscription active. Turn on that notification bell. Leave a comment. Like and subscribe. Do all the stuff that helps the channel grow, and I will keep doing my part to keep bringing you guys as much content as I can manage. And that's the strategy. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. And oh, just a fair warning, I mentioned it earlier, rain all week. I have no idea how much flying I'm going to get in this weekend. Hopefully some, I have no idea. But one thing I can tell you for sure, that MXS is going to be ready to go by tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you all have a fantastic 3-day weekend. If you're celebrating a 3-day weekend, God bless you. Have a great 3-day weekend. Get out there and fly something. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.